Chapter 50. Tina's arm trembled as she pointed to a side door. "That leads to the next room." The 11-year-old looked so fragile and vulnerable that Jeff's heart ached. He couldn't bear anything bad to happen to her. "Quick!" He took her hand, and they quietly opened the door and entered. It was dark. She turned on a table lamp. The warm yellow glow displayed 2 made beds, no occupants, furnished much like all the other rooms. But whatever had been outside the other hall door was now scratching and wailing outside this room's hall door. Jeff looked for a side door leading to another room. There was none, just these 2 rooms connected. The creature outside grew louder, sounding full of need. Need for what? What did Jeff and Tina have that it needed? Blood, flesh, innocence, goodness? Were these its diet? "The staff will hear this racket," he said, frustrated. "We need to get out of here." Maybe the hospital didn't require guards in its halls because it had mutant killers. Whatever the creature was, it didn't have hands. Otherwise, it would have already opened the door. "We're trapped," she said hopelessly. "We have weapons. We can fight." He didn't believe their weapons were adequate, but he hated hearing the girl's delicate voice so defeated, and wanted to raise her confidence and make her feel more secure. Tina looked down at her bottle of blue window cleaner, her face white with fear. "I can beat it with this stick, and if it comes near you, you spray it." She tenuously nodded. "Maybe it'll leave." Jeff understood her desire to avoid the creature, but they couldn't do that for long without the creature drawing the staff's attention. Besides, unless there were other girls in this hospital, the scream earlier had to have been Ashley. She was awake and required help. It might not be dangerous, maybe just a patrol agent. It's making more noise than damage. Tina swallowed hard. "It's okay, sweetie. I'll do all the work. You just stand back and run when I say." "I thought monsters were only in dreams." "Just stay behind me. You'll be fine." He realized this was the second time he was reassuring her that she would be unharmed in the presence of monsters. The first time he had been wrong. He hoped this time he was right. He moved closer to the door. As though anticipating his approach, the scratching increased in intensity. "What if we're still in the dream?" she whispered anxiously. "What if we can't leave?" Holding the stick in his right hand, Jeff grasped the doorknob with his left hand. He turned it. The doors to the hospital rooms opened inwards, so he couldn't smack the creature with a fast push outward. Surprising the creature would be his only advantage. The creature whined. He raised his stick. He simultaneously stepped back while pulling the door open. His eyes widened. He was more surprised than the creature. On the blue linoleum floor, hunkered down, was little Grazé. The fluffy white dog sprang, flying onto Jeff's left leg, attaching itself with its front paws and beginning rhythmic thrusts with his huge doggy smile. "Croisset?" Tina said with mixed disbelief and enthusiasm. She dropped her bottle of Windex cleaner and went to him, peeling him off Jeff's leg. As he licked her face, she began hugging and petting him. "Ah, sweet Croisset." "How did he get here?" Her face beamed with happiness. Maybe he was put to sleep too. He must have escaped." "Why did they put any of us to sleep, let alone a dog?" "Who knows? These people are weird and mean." He chuckled. "No doubt." "You're a good boy," she told Croisset. "You found us." "We better get going. Maybe we could lock him in the bathroom while we look for Ashley." "No," she said adamantly. "He found us. He can lead us to Ashley." In her eyes, Jeff could see admiration, love, and determination for the animal. "I don't think we can communicate with him. He's not trained, and he may give us away by barking at the wrong moment." "But he's got a good nose." She kissed it. He hesitated. He was reluctant to admit the truth. Tina spoke. "Well, yes, he does." Perhaps his reluctance was born more from the annoyance of Croiset's intense, persistent attempts to reproduce with Jeff and only Jeff. Why was the dog so attracted to him? What was so special about him? He imagined walking down the hospital halls, looking for Ashley with Croisset not leading, but rather affixed to one of his legs. "We can't just lock him in here," she insisted. "He'll bark and be found." He stubbornly refused to nod in agreement. "If they find him, they'll check the rooms and find us out of our beds. Then they'll call security." "We don't have anything of Ashley's for him to smell, do we?" She held Croiset's head in both of her hands, looked him squarely in the eyes, and commanded, "Find Ashley." Croisset wagged his thick-furred, stumpy tail. Jeff thought it unlikely the dog would understand. The Bichon Frise might simply lead them to food, a chew toy, or a favorite slipper. She repeated, "Find Ashley." The dog whined quietly. When Tina released him, he began to scamper down the hall, claws clicking on the linoleum. "Let's go," she said, excited. I don't know. This is ridiculous." Croisset stopped, turned around, and tilted his head, like wondering why she wasn't tailing him after all the fuss she made. "Hurry!" She skipped to the Bichon Frise. Croisset continued down the hall. Jeff wasn't sure this was the best idea, but what else were they going to do? Croisset was already loose in the halls. They might as well follow him. This was a 2-story hospital with a maze of countless rooms and hallways just on this floor. Perhaps the dog, being a pack animal, would seek out other members of the pack.